Alright, hi Kawan, welcome to EDC Ready. I'm your host, Mr. EDC, and I just want to put it out there that this is my first ever knife review. And since it's my first knife review, I just want to talk about one of the first knives I ever bought, which is this. This is the QSP Daeva. So a little bit of a background about QSP. QSP is an OEM out of China, so they have a lot of experience doing work for other knife companies, but recently they've started creating a lot of their own lines. They have two specific lines. They have a budget option, which this falls under, and then they also have a premium option, which if you go to their website, link is in the description down below. You'll find out a little bit more about them. They're coming out of China. I really like the kind of quality and the kind of action and the materials that they use, which I will explain in this video in this QSP Daeva. Now, before we get into some measurements right here, I just want to give a big shout out to my new patrons, which as of right now I don't have any. But if you're interested in helping out the channel, helping the channel grow, helping me bring better gear to the channel to do reviews, just go on in the description box down below and have a look at the Patreon account. And if you want to invest, or if you want to contribute at the end of the month, you have a little bit extra cash, I would be very appreciative of that. It helped me grow the channel. But if all you do is you enjoy these videos that I'm about to show you guys, then that's just good enough for me. Alright, first things first, let's get a measurement on the weight. So this is not a very light knife. Alright, we have full steel liners and pretty thick G10, and it is coming in at 164 grams, which if you convert, because my scale doesn't have an ounce converter, it is 5.78 ounces, which is pretty heavy as knife goes. Personally for me, I like knives around the 3 ounce range, maybe slightly lighter than 3 ounces, but yeah, it is what it is. It's definitely a beefier knife, everything's thick about it. Speaking about thickness, let's take some measurements. I have here some calipers. So first we'll measure in inches. Let's take the main measurements. We have the scales, or the handle, at 4.8 inches long, or 122 millimeters. Next up, we have the blade length, which is quite long in my opinion. We have it at around 100 millimeters, or 3.9, almost 4 inches in length, which is pretty darn long. The cutting edge itself is at 3.7 inches. Okay, next up we have the thickness here. Let's take a nice flat portion right here. We are sitting at, there you go, 0.14 inches, or 3.4 millimeters. Next up, I just want to take a quick measurement of the angle of the handle. Sorry. Now the handles are contoured, so I need to go all the way down. We are sitting at around 16.8 millimeters, or 0.66 inches. And another thing that's very important is the width of the blade itself. So the width of the blade is actually quite a narrow knife in this sense. It is 1.04 inches, or 26.5 millimeters. Okay, so as you can see here, it is great in this dimension. This dimension is pretty thick, alright. Even if you okay, so to measure with the pocket clip here, we are sitting at 0.83 inches, or 21.2 millimeters. Alright, so definitely a pretty chubby knife, a pretty thick knife. Okay, so let's do this. Let's get into the review. I'm going to do it this way. I am going to go pretty much tell you what I like and what I don't like from tip to butt. So starting with the tip here, we have nice D2 steel. Okay, so D2 is among the budget steels, and among the budget steels, it is the most wear resistant. Okay, it is definitely the toughest to sharpen among the budget steels, but at the same time, it also resists wear the most, so you don't need to sharpen it as often. That's really great about D2. I like that about D2, but what I don't like about D2 is that it tends to be a little bit rust prone. I think it is just below the necessary chromium amount, to the necessary chromium percentage to be considered a completely stainless steel. They have mitigated that by adding a nice coating, and this is actually a really nice coating in my opinion. It's not like completely black, but it's a nice gray coating, and it's hold up it's held up pretty well. You know, definitely I've not done a lot of hard use with this knife, but it holds up pretty well. You only have a bit of wear here because one time I had the pivot went loose and it was kind of scraping on the side here, but other than that it's okay. So it is it has very high wear resistance. It sacrifices a bit of corrosion resistance, but it's mitigated by this coating right here, which is great. So let's talk about shape. Now the shape of the blade is very nice. You have a long portion of flat here, a bit of belly for nice slicing, stuff like that. And then you have a very strong tip. The tip, as you can see here, I'm not sure if you can see, it's pretty thick. And I'm just, okay, my first review, I forgot to grab another knife to compare it with. Be right back. Okay, not a fair comparison. This is the Spyderco Dragonfly, which is known for being an extremely thin knife, and this is definitely much thicker and much sturdier. So that's it. And with that being said, the thickness does give it more durability when you want to punch into something or when you cut into something. But you know, in my life, sliciness is a little bit more important. So personally, I would have liked a thinner stock. But if you're the kind of person that beats up on their knife a bit more, maybe you like to cut up like rope, or I don't know, something tougher than envelopes and papers and plastic bags and packaging, a lot of cardboard. If you're cutting with if you're cutting a lot of cardboard, this is a good blade to have. Okay, now one thing I don't like, so that's what I like about it. I like that it has a lot of belly, it has a nice strong point, but I just feel like what I don't like about it is that I just feel like it's a bit too thick of a knife. But if you like that hard to use kind of blade, then you're gonna like this. Now the next thing, moving back, we have this jimping right here. Now this jimping right here, now this jimping right here is, when I first got it, I wasn't used to this rough of a jimping, so it does definitely feel a bit sharp when you start using it. It definitely gives you a lot of grip, and you need a lot of grip because this is a very straight knife. Okay, there's not a lot of contouring here. It's not like the Dragonfly, which has all these contours for your fingers, so you need this kind of rougher jimping. And yeah, over time my thumb did get used to it, and now it's fine. Now I kind of really like the jimping because it's kind of necessary in this design of a knife. Alright, so moving back, let's talk about the pivot. So I've done a disassembly of this knife. You can check that out. I'll link that in the description down below. This knife uses bearings, which is the reason why it has such a nice action. Just watch this. Oh yeah. Okay, one more time. Oops. Oh yeah. Okay, now all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna shake it off a little bit, see if it falls like that. It definitely has a nice drop shut action, and you know what, for a budget knife to have this kind of drop shut action, that is not common at all. So for this knife to have that kind of feature, which you expect from a knife that's much more expensive, you are well, you're getting a pretty good deal in my opinion. By the way, a quick shout out to the guys who sold me this. This is bought from a website called Thomas Tools. It is Penang, Malaysian based EDC websites. They have flashlights, they have knives, they have multi-tools and all that. So big up to them. Personally, I find that their customer service is very nice, very friendly, and yeah, I mean they're always nice on Instagram, and they always answer all my annoying noob questions on Instagram. Alright, so next up, so we talked about pivot. Let's move back a little bit. Let's move to the flipper tab. Now this flipper tab, what I do like about it is that it is nice and rounded, so it's not sharp here. Unfortunately, it is very slippery because at the front here, there is no jimping at all. It's kind of angled backwards. So there are many times, especially when your hands are a bit wet, right? After you wash your hands, you want to open a bag of peanuts or something, or a bag of chips that you can't open. I always tend to miss the flip a little bit. And granted, because of the strength of the detent and the smoothness of the pivot, it's fine. But because I just end up having to see, even now, there we go. Even now, I will slip on it. So I just like a little. I like that it's not really sharp. It's not really gonna pack on anything in your pocket, but it is definitely a slippery flipper tab. Okay, moving back. Let's get the lock bar. So the lock bar here, you have the detent, and this detent is a nice and strong detent. Okay, it compensates for the slipperiness of the flipper tab here, but having that really nice and strong detent coupled with that very smooth action just makes this fire out. Okay, it's almost impossible to misflip this. Oh, there we go. Never mind. But that took a lot of effort to misflip it. But most of the time, if you're doing it like normal, it is gonna flip out completely and entirely with both fingers. Okay, so back to the lock bar. So the great thing about this lock bar is that you have this nice deep cut. Well, not deep. You have this nice long cut here to get to the lock bar access. And the lock bar itself, this part here, is chamfered. Okay, it's rounded and... Is it chamfered? Yeah, it's chamfered and rounded. So it makes it very comfortable. It's not a sharp thing that you need to press. Okay, so it's very comfortable to depress the lock bar and to push it back down. Now, just flipping over to the other side, this pocket clip. Okay, I have a love-hate relationship with this pocket clip. Number one, I love the color because it's a little bit more discreet. You know, it's not like a bright silver. It's definitely like a nice grey color. The rounding at the edges are very nice. It's not sharp at all. Another thing I really like about it is that the tension of the clip is very good. Okay, it's not too hard that I feel like it's eating up my pants, but at the same time, it's just enough to keep there's just enough tension to keep it in your pants. Okay, and it's a nice deep carry to the point that and to add to that point, the screws are on the sides and not in the middle of the deep carry clip. Some clips have the screws in the middle of the clip, so your pants can't go all the way up because the screws are blocking it. But in this case, not only do you have small screws, but they're not blocking the path of the pants, so this can go really deep carry. I mean, when you carry this in your pants, it comes up to about like that, which is great. But what I really don't like about this knife is the positioning of the clip. I personally like a right side carry, tip down, so it'll be on the same side, but the clip will be here. Okay, the reason why I like it like that is because of, well, number one, this is already a thick knife at 0.66 inches. I find that it is definitely a thick knife. The Dragonfly is really thin at 0.34. Yeah, 0.34. But I consider knives around 0.5 and under to be thin knives. So this is definitely about 20-25% thicker than what I normally like in a knife. It's fine because it's not too bad because of the rounding here. This part here is nice and rounded, so it actually feels thinner than it actually is. It's not flat, so that definitely helps it out a little bit. But yeah, another thing I don't like about this knife is that the scales here are actually pretty sharp. They're not sharp, it's not going to cut you, but they're not really rounded as I want it to be. And as you can see, this is the effect of it. So sometimes when I flip the tab here and then my nail catches one of these scales right here, they end up like tearing up my nails apart right there. So I'm just, yeah, sorry about that. So that's something you have to keep in mind. It's okay if it's not gonna hurt. Okay, if you clip your fingernails, okay, and then you do this, it's not gonna hurt because what happens is this is not a push button kind of flipper. This is a pull back, like light switch kind of flipper. So your flash of your fingers doesn't actually hit here. But if your nails are too long, then your nails are definitely gonna scrape that. So that's the thing. If you are owning this knife, I would say, well, my feedback about this knife is that this here just needs more chamfering, especially where your finger tends to rub across. This portion here probably needs a bit more rounding or needs some chamfering. Again, it's not sharp, but at the same time, it can like tear apart your fingernails a little bit. Okay, so let's talk about the scale itself. So the scale is G10, which is one of my favorite materials for scales. I've not tried too many material. I've not tried micarta. This is FRN. I felt titanium. I've never felt stainless steel scales before, but definitely this G10 is very nice. It gives a good amount of grip, okay, because it has all these nice ridges here, but at the same time it's quite shallow, so it's very nice and smooth, and I think it's very pretty. I like this black and green OD green combo, so that's something I personally like. One thing about the design here is that I've mentioned it before, it is just straight. So if it's just straight, the problem is that you don't have a lot of grip. This tends to be a little bit slippery. If you work on this jimping, the knife could be a little bit slippery. Oh yeah, just like that. Okay, but so that just helps it out a little bit, and I guess the pocket clip can help as well because you kind of have it as a point of grip here. Again, I kind of prefer it in the back, but yeah, to be honest, most of the time I remove this clip, because when you remove this clip, then the knife gets a lot thinner because you grab at the front, and then this thing is at the front. When you remove this, you remove about 0.2 inches, so the knife becomes a lot more comfortable to grip. But that's just personal preference. Some people like it like this. I have a friend in the office that I'm going to sell it to. He prefers it this way, but you know, because he likes that chunkier knife. Okay, so that's it. So we talked about lock bar. Well, oh yeah, we have full steel liners here, which makes it feel very beefy. There's almost no flex in this at all. Well, just a little bit, but it feels very strong. Couple that with the thick blade stock, and then the thicker behind the edge grind, because this is a high grind, so it's not full flat grind. So it's definitely, it will slice. Don't get me wrong, this thing does slice quite well. I can slice receipts, newspapers, regular paper, cardboard, no problem, but it's just a little bit thicker than I like it to be, especially when you compare it to something which I find great when it comes to slicing, which is the the dragonfly. Okay, moving back. So this is not just a knife. I actually bought this because it has all these extra features. It has a what do you call this? This is a seat belt cutter or belt cutter, which is great. I've actually used this to cut string, and sometimes I don't want to show off the whole knife, but if there's string on my pants or hanging off on my clothes, I just take this and then just cut the string, which is very nice. For all the drinkers out there, we have a bottle opener, and these two tools are nice. I found them quite useful, to be honest. I've used this quite a bit more than I thought I would. Okay, it's much more than just seat belts. What I don't like about them is that having this here really thickens up the scales. Okay, so for me it's fine. For some people it's fine. They like the thicker scales. But for me, if I could avoid this and have slightly thinner knife, it's going to be fine. That's going to be a little bit better, in my opinion, for my everyday use. Okay, because I do carry around a Swiss Army knife with me, which has all these features. So this is like a bit superfluous to have, well, on the knife itself. Another thing I don't like about this is that because of this, to take apart the knife, to fully disassemble the knife, it's going to be a little bit tricky, because you have to take out all the scales, take out all these screws, and then each one of these have washers. So you got to put everything back, align everything back, then screw it back in. To disassemble the knife will be a lot easier if you're just doing a quick disassembly, meaning you just take out this screw, and this screw, and that's going to be fine. But to do a full disassembly, as you can see in the video, it was like a half an hour disassembly video, which is much longer than it needed to be. If you just do a quick disassembly, it's going to take like less than 10 minutes. But yeah, that's something you gotta keep in mind. Okay, it's a bit fiddly to put together. It can be done, and I have done it quite a few times, but it's a bit fiddly to put back together. And then this also has a glass breaker, which I have never used. Thankfully, I've never been in a position where I needed to use a glass breaker, but if it's there, it's there. So initially I got this I got this knife because, well, I had a newborn baby, and I thought, why not have something in the car that can, help me get out of a tricky situation in case I need to. So I got this knife off of Thomas Tools. So the price of this, I got it is 197 ringgit, okay, which is about 40 USD if you convert it directly. But I got it on sale for about 177, so that was good. That's why I jumped on it. Okay, but I'm actually really happy with what I got, because it's a great, in my opinion, it was a great first knife, because I learned a lot about bearings. I learned a lot about lock bars and how to fix lock rock, because this knife did get a little bit of a lock rock. What happened was the natural bend that came out of the factory, as the line lock wore in, okay, there was not enough bend coming out of the factory, so all I had to do is take it apart and bend it a little bit more on that side, so that re-engaged the lock. So now it is completely solid. This knife feels very solid. This drop shut action, okay, it is there with with pretty much full torque, or I'd say 97-98% full torque on the screws, and there's completely no rock at all in any direction, and that's great. Shows pretty good tolerances. It's not difficult to get it there, but the most difficult part, honestly, is getting all these things back together. So with that, we've reached to the end of the knife. Let's just go through the full conclusion. Okay, so here's the conclusion. What kind of person would like this knife? If you are the kind of person who, number one, doesn't mind a deep carry clip, doesn't mind a tip down carry clip, who likes deep carry clip, who likes that chunkier, beefier knife, who likes a thicker, more durable blade stock, definitely someone who likes a great action for a budget knife, someone who likes a strong detent, then this is going to be the knife for you. Okay, this knife is, in my opinion, a very good beater knife. It is inexpensive. You can definitely beat up on it because, well, it's pretty beefy, full steel liners, pretty thick stock, and it is a good budget knife as well, so you don't feel bad if something goes wrong with it. If you're that kind of person, then you are gonna like this knife. You are not gonna like this knife if you're the kind of person a person more like me, you like a thinner knife because it is more comfortable in the pocket. You like a lighter knife for the same reason, because it's more comfortable in the pocket. You like a deep carry clip because for me it is more ergonomic because it keeps the front here very thin. And then you like a slicier knife. This knife can slice, no problem, but for me, I just feel like a slicier knife would be a little bit better for my usage. Okay, I'm not doing a lot of hard cutting. Most of the time I'm just opening up packages and food and cutting off a bit of foam and a bit of cardboard, so the sliciness helps. But if you're cutting off a lot of rope, you're doing a lot more on-field cutting, this would be a much better knife for you. So yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's the end of the review. I hope you find this very helpful, and if you want to know more about QSP knives, there's a link down below. You can check out all their budget, medium and high-end options. So yeah, that's it. Final shout out to my Patreon account. Do go and check it out if you want to be a part of it. That's great. It helped me bring better content, better gear to the channel. But at the end of the day, it's really just up to you. And if all you do is enjoy my videos and you learn something from the videos, then that is great too. Okay, so this is my first review. Let me just see if I forgot anything. If I forgot anything, no, I guess that's about it. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great Daeva. Get it? QSP Daeva. Yeah, I'm a bit of a Nick Shabazz fan, so what you gonna do? Alright, stay ready.